Hi, welcome to PySimpleGUI 2020. This is a mini lesson on PyCharm. It's an important IDE. I think it's the better choice, and I wanted to spend some time specifically talking about it. It's already been mentioned in the main course that's being taught. So here is PyCharm as it's running. What you want to do is Control-Alt-S brings up the settings. And one of the things you want to be looking at is the editor color scheme. This is important to get right. Spend a weekend on this, on PyCharm in general, but it's worth it. It is where you spend your day when you're working with Python. So master your tools is the lesson. If you go to color scheme Python, then you will find all of the different settings for classes. The one that I think is most important to set is comment. It defaults to a light gray font, which makes it just disappear. And I think that is an injustice to comments. They deserve to pop. They should be very readable. Anyway, take your time, make your code look the way you want, and then learn shortcuts. I have a keyboard from Logitech that has extra keys, so I'm able to map them. You can use hotkey programs. What you want to map to is Shift F10, and I think Control Shift F10 is what runs what's currently on the screen. So I use this constantly. So you're making a change. I want to come up here and add a pop-up get date, let's say, and I just want to run it. So I add that in, I hit the run button, and it comes down here and says that there's no attribute. So there's something wrong with my pop-up. Oh, there's no get date. So let's do get. Control space brings up autocomplete. There's the get date. I'm hoping there's no parameters that are required. Hit the run button again, and look, here's my program that runs. So the idea is to be able to spin changes very quickly. When you're coding with PySimpleGUI, parameters are important. That's true with all calls in Python. So hit Control P as you're typing, and you'll see a list of the parameters and what their defaults are. That's true with anything, time.time. Let's say we don't know what that is, and I want to see what the parameters are. There are no parameters. How about random.randint, right? Random.randint. If you're not sure what the parameters are, Control P will bring those up, and you'll see it's A and B. If you're on the name of the function and you hit Control Q, then it will bring up this documentation, and this documentation also works for PySimpleGUI calls. It has the parameters, it has a description of the parameters because of the doc strings that are in the code. Another thing I use a lot is Control/, which is located above your keypad. If you're coding and you want to comment out a big block, just do Control/. If you want to bring it back, Control/. If you want to do one line at a time, you just keep pressing it and it moves on to the next line super fast. You would be stunned at how much it multiplies your capabilities in terms of time, how efficient you become when you use an IDE or a smart editor. I happen to choose PyCharm. I do not use, at least in my primary environment, PyCharm's virtual environment. I'm a simple person. I prefer to use pip at the system level, and then I don't have to worry about pip installing through PyCharm. On Linux, there are some Linux systems where I'm using the virtual environment, and I just find it a little more confusing. I do use projects. I'm able to use sort of like an Explorer interface to get to demo programs or the different ports of PySimpleGUI. They all happen to be in one folder, so I know I can get Qt and Web and WX, and it's all right there. There are a ton of good features. Spend the weekend on it. That's your homework. Learn PyCharm. It's worth it. And while we're talking about PyCharm, you will notice, if you read the source code, you'll notice this sort of a hacky thing that I do, which is comments for types. So sometimes the variable element in this particular routine changes types depending on the element type. So in one block of code it's one thing, in another it's a different type. And a way to get code completion to work correctly is to use a comment next to the line that you're talking about, and you put type, colon, and then the type. In this case, it's a spin class. If I control click it, it'll take me there. To go back to the last place that you typed, use Control Shift Backspace. So if I'm editing here, maybe I'm editing here, I'm editing here, and I want to step back through my edit, Control Backspace will take you through those. It's a great way to skip around so you're not scrolling and trying to find where you were last. But by doing these type hints, now element dot, and I hit Control Space, it's going to bring up all the different stuff for the spin element in this case. You notice over here, here's the spin. It is based on the element class, so you'll also see things about the element class. But it provides type hints for you so that code completion works correctly in PyCharm, and it doesn't add a bunch of extra funny looking things to your code. It's simply comments, so it works with Python 2, it works with Python 3.4, it works everywhere because it's just comments, and PyCharm knows how to read those comments. And then one final tip is to use Control-Alt-Shift-Insert to quickly create a scratch file. Control-Alt-Shift-Insert brings up a dialog box. You can say, I want a Python file. You can use these things called live templates so that you hit Control-J and it'll allow me to pull up a live template. You can look up what that means, but basically it's a way to quickly paste a bunch of code in. So with two keystrokes, Control-Alt-Shift-Insert, I've got a new file. Control-J, I've got a program. I can hit the run button, and now I am executing a PySimpleGUI program that I can modify and try to duplicate whatever bug someone has put as an issue. I do this a lot, clearly. So that's it for your mini lesson here. Hope that you're enjoying these new 2020 lessons.